Are you saying that there is a chance that those documents, whether it's an executive order which hits policy and impacts American people, or whether it's the pardons, are they not legitimate?
I haven't seen anything that would suggest that they were. I think they're in peril right now. These last three witnesses that we're bringing in for transcribed interviews, they better produce some hard evidence to make everyone on the Oversight Committee think that Joe Biden knew exactly what was going on, or else I think that all the pardons and executive orders, especially the ones during the last 4 or 5 months of the Biden administration, I think they're all in peril.
President Joe Biden's final month in office were expected to be a time of reflection, speeches about his legacy, and the quiet transition of power that accompanies the end of a presidency. But instead, those months became dominated by an unexpected firestorm. Reports began to surface that the White House had relied on an Autopen, a mechanical device that reproduces handwriting, to authorize thousands of pardons and commutations. What might have been remembered as one of the most ambitious clemency efforts in American history suddenly carried the weight of suspicion, secrecy, and legal ambiguity. The clemency surge and the Autopen revelation.
It was the lunatics that work around in the Oval Office, around the beautiful Resolute desk. It's not Biden, because I don't think Biden knew what was happening. I think that the Autopen is one of the biggest scandals in the history of this country, because the person that operated the Autopen was the President of the United States.
The closing months of President Biden's term were unlike any in recent memory. Instead of a steady glide towards legacy speeches and ceremonial events, the White House was buzzing with activity as thousands of pardons and commutations were pushed through at breakneck speed. More than 4,000 clemency decisions were finalized, with a staggering 2,500 recorded in just one day. Political observers were stunned not only by the scale, but also by the speed, which raised immediate questions about process and oversight. The bombshell came when it was revealed that most of the signatures were produced not by Biden's own hand, but by an Autopen, a mechanical device long used for routine tasks like correspondence or minor bill signings. While the Autopen is not new to Washington, its use on something as weighty as presidential pardons shocked many. Within the Department of Justice, seasoned lawyers grew uneasy. Bradley Weinsheimer, a respected figure known for his commitment to ethics, raised red flags about whether bypassing personal signatures risked undermining the integrity of the clemency process. His concerns set the tone for a growing storm that soon spilled far beyond DOJ walls. Inside the White House, staff debates simmered as the clemency drive gained momentum. Steph Feldman, the staff secretary, pressed colleagues about when and how the president had actually approved the decisions. Her pointed messages asked explicitly about the timeline of Biden's authorization, hinted at a deeper unease, that perhaps the president had not personally reviewed the merits of each case. Critics latched onto these questions as evidence that the process had become detached from its constitutional roots. Supporters, meanwhile, argued Biden had issued broad policy directives months earlier, and the Autopen was simply a practical tool to implement his will. Yet secrecy surrounding the signatures only fueled speculation, especially amid whispers about Biden's declining energy in his final years. Congressional investigations and political fallout.
Controversy over former President Joe Biden's use of an Autopen isn't going away. The former top aide told lawmakers behind closed doors that she authorized Autopen signatures but didn't know who was actually giving the final green light. The National News Desk, Janae Bowen's joining us now. So, Janae, what are you learning about why she didn't know who approved it?
Well, Didi, according to House Oversight Committee sources, the aide, Neera Tanden, says she had limited interactions with President Biden and followed an approval process that left her unclear on who was actually giving the final okay to use the Autopen.
The scandal proved irresistible to Republican lawmakers who had been waiting for an opportunity to challenge Biden's credibility. House Oversight Chairman James Comer wasted no time launching an investigation, summoning top aides like Chief of Staff Jeff Zients, Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, and Communications Director Ian Sams to testify. The hearings soon became headline events as questions about Biden's mental sharpness and the legality of Autopen signatures took center stage. Some aides invoked their Fifth Amendment rights, a move that only deepened the air of suspicion. Comer declared the situation one of the most serious breaches of presidential duty in modern times. Legal scholars were quick to push back on Comer's interpretation, noting that the Justice Department had long held that Autopen signatures were legally valid, so long as the president authorized them. But the optics were damaging. With Biden's age and stamina under constant scrutiny, the notion that he might have delegated such solemn duties to a machine played directly into his critics' narrative. To many Americans, the scandal wasn't just about legality, it was about perception, accountability, and the symbolism of the president's pen. President Trump seized on the story with characteristic flair, calling the pardons void and accusing Biden of abandoning his constitutional duties. His claims were shaky in legal terms, but they resonated with supporters. Senator Ted Cruz joined in, warning that the practice undermined constitutional checks and blurred the line between efficiency and responsibility. As hearings stretched on, it became clear the scandal would not be easily brushed aside. For Republicans, it was a chance to paint Biden's presidency as careless and incompetent. For Democrats, it was a frustrating distraction from policy achievements. A device with a long history.
The Autopen works, it's very simple, actually. So the process itself, it looks a bit like a drawing table or a tilted architecture board with the signature etched in the glass on it. And so when it was time to use the Autopen, much like that you're seeing right now, but actually a little more low tech. And then the pen would come out and literally sign his name like it's doing right now, dot the I and cross the T.
While the Biden scandal seemed shocking in its scope, the Autopen itself was hardly new to American politics. Mechanical reproductions of handwriting have roots stretching back to Thomas Jefferson's era, when inventors experimented with duplicating devices. In the 20th century, Autopens became a staple in Washington, used by presidents and lawmakers alike to sign correspondence and routine paperwork. Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush relied on them sparingly, while Barack Obama made headlines in 2011 when he used an Autopen to sign a temporary extension of the Patriot Act while traveling overseas. That use, upheld as constitutional by the Justice Department, set an important precedent for Autopen legitimacy. The distinction, however, was in the scale and subject matter. Obama's use involved extending an existing law, an action with clear boundaries. Biden's use, by contrast, applied to thousands of individual lives, each case representing years of legal appeals, family hopes, and personal histories. Critics argued that this scale crossed a line, transforming a practical convenience into a constitutional gray zone. Supporters countered that the principle remained the same. As long as Biden had authorized the actions, the method of signature was secondary. For many, the controversy raised deeper questions about what the presidency truly entails. Is the role defined by a leader's direct hand in every decision, or is it about setting a vision and trusting staff to carry it out? In Biden's case, the absence of clear documentation of his personal approval left scholars and citizens alike uncertain. Without that clarity, the Autopen became more than just a tool, it became a symbol of the limits of modern presidential governance. The human impact and internal divisions.
A 2005 Department of Justice memo explicitly stating that a president does not need to personally sign bills and that the president may direct, quote, a subordinate to affix the president's signature to such a bill, for example, by Autopen.
The Office of Legal Counsel issued an opinion that Autopen signatures are okay, but that doesn't have the same force as, say, a court actually making that determination or Congress, say, weighing in on the issue.
Behind the political theater were thousands of people whose lives were directly affected by the Clemency drive. Families who celebrated newfound freedom soon discovered their joy was clouded by doubts about legitimacy. Some legal experts reassured them that courts were unlikely to reverse their pardons or commutations, arguing that the intent behind the decisions carried more weight than the method of signing. Yet uncertainty lingered, leaving many to wonder whether their second chance might be taken away in the storm of controversy. Within the administration, the scandal left scars. Bradley Weinsheimer resigned in protest, citing his discomfort with the way the process had been handled. His departure added fuel to the Republican argument that misconduct had occurred. Steph Feldman, though she didn't resign, continued to voice internal concerns that eventually leaked to the press, providing critics with further ammunition. Chief of Staff Jeff Zients, however, defended the approach, insisting that Biden had issued broad instructions and that the Autopen was merely a technical means of carrying them out. These clashing accounts painted a picture of a White House divided over how to balance efficiency with constitutional duty. Hypocrisy, irony, and the legacy question.
Your predecessor dismissed your Autopen investigation. He said he made all the decisions during his presidency. I'm curious your reaction to his dismissal.
Well, look, the Autopen, I think, is the big scandal outside of the rigged election of 2020. I think the biggest scandal of the last many years is the Autopen. And who's using it? I happen to think I know, okay, because I'm here. And I'm not a big Autopen person, fortunately. I'm glad. I'm very glad. It's an easy way out. But it's a very bad thing, very dangerous. You know, I sign important documents. Usually when they put documents in front of you, they're important. Even if you're signing ambassadorships, and I consider that important. I think it's inappropriate. You have somebody that's devoting 4 years of their life or more to being an ambassador. I think you really that person deserves to get a real signature, not an Autopen.
As the House Oversight Committee pushed forward, a twist emerged that complicated the narrative. NBC News reported that James Comer, the very congressman spearheading the investigation, had himself used digital signature tools for official documents. Some subpoenas and letters bore electronic marks rather than handwritten signatures. While not identical to the Autopen controversy, the revelation raised uncomfortable questions about consistency. Comer's critics accused him of hypocrisy, while his allies dismissed the comparison as irrelevant. Even with such revelations, the Oversight Committee pressed on, framing the scandal as a test of presidential accountability. By September 2025, hearings were entering their final stages, with some predicting fireworks and others expecting little more than partisan posturing. What was undeniable, however, was that the Autopen had already become a defining symbol of Biden's presidency. Now it's time to hear from you. What do you think about the Autopen scandal? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below.